Hey, welcome back to Papa's Custom Cars. This is part two of the RAV4 radio. Yep, that radio was in fact broken. So it did have the broken buttons, as I said in the intro. Um, what was really wild was I went onto the Amazon website, put in, hey, this thing's got broken buttons or it's defective. Item came broken. And they replaced this thing. And they said it'll be there by Tuesday. This was Saturday. Um, Said it would be there by Tuesday. It's either Saturday or Sunday. It was here the next day. They actually rushed it to me so that I would have it the very next day. I thought that for customer service, that was fantastic. And I got the new radio, and it is ready to go and ready to go in. So we'll finish installing it. Um, One of the things I will say to everybody is if you've got a RAV4 or they make a radio for your car, this brand, this NV, um, well, let me get the box for you. NVGOTEV is the name of the company. Their radios are one of the easiest radios that I've ever installed. I've installed some really complex ones with the amplifiers and all that kind of fun stuff. Now, I'm not saying everything's going to be easy. There is a backup camera that I'm putting in, but I'm putting it in it. The car doesn't have it. If the car had it, it would plug right into it. Everything that the RAV4 has plugs right into this radio, and it's got additional outlets for amplifiers and all that kind of stuff. Individual screens on the headrests, all that stuff that you might have or might not have, but it's there if you need it. So I thought this was a really good deal. This is about $230 plus tax, but for the money, you're saving a ton. The other radio that I bought, I had to buy the install kit, and this usually goes with all of them. You have to buy the install kit, which is wiring. Then you have to make the wiring to make it all work, and then you have to, you have to go through all kinds of stuff to make these things work. Hook up this, hook up that, and then splice everything into these connectors that they give you. And then you have to get the mount put onto the radio, and then you've got to make sure that mount fits and sits right and everything works fine. This one came with everything. Like I said, that harness that it came with has plugs right in, as you'll see, plugs right into the car. The only thing you have to do is you're going to have to run the 4G antenna because it does have 4G, and you're going to have to run the GPS antenna. Now, here's the kicker to all that. I had the GPS. I took the other one, put it in just to see if it was working, and of course these buttons didn't work. But the GPS picked up a GPS signal, and it was laying down on the floor. I hadn't even put it up yet, which I thought was just fantastic. That tells you that it's a good GPS unit with a good GPS antenna. Now, should you mount it higher? Oh yeah, definitely. As with the 4G antenna, there's a little cup. I thought it was for an additional SIM card. It's not. There's an SD card plug in for more memory right in the front of here, along with what they call a GPS card. So I'm sure it has to do with updating the GPS or something of that nature. So you do have expanded memory here. That little SIM card holder that's on the end of the harness is for a cell phone. You can set this sucker up to be able to use it for your Wi-Fi, cellular Wi-Fi. I'm standing in the garage right now. I had the car parked way out on the street, and my Bluetooth could see the car, and it wanted to connect to it, which I thought was really wild. So that means it's got a good antenna in it. Um, so I do recommend this. Tools that you do need, I forgot to mention that in the beginning video, is you're going to need a ratchet with a long extension, an 8mm, and a 10mm. Right? There's your 8mm. The 8mm is for the side bolts, 10mm for the bolts in the car. Those two things, a tiny Phillips screwdriver, and a small flat blade screwdriver. Tiny Phillips screwdriver is to take I've got it off this one already, is to take this little, hold on a minute, is to take this the travel screws out of the DVD player. They screw into it and it locks down the DVD so it doesn't move around and get broken when it's in transit. So that's what the little one's for. The bigger screwdriver, the only thing you're using it for is to pop these clips off. There's 4 clips that when you push the radio in, it locks in these clips. So not only is it held in by the 4 bolts, it also has these clips that hold it in place. And that's to remove and to remove those, you just need this. So the only other items that it's got, it has provisions for 2 external USB plugins and one on the face. The one on the face is the big old school. That's not it. It's the big old school USB, and then the other one's there. It is right there. It's the big old honking one that everybody's familiar with from like 500 years ago. But they give you the cable for it, so you have the cable for it to be able to plug in to the front of the radio with this one. Like say if you want to hook your radio up to it or your phone or something. And then it comes with 2 external ones that are long cables that you can probably hook pretty much anywhere. So I've gone above and beyond. Mine doesn't have the camera and mine doesn't have any external USB. It has a headphone jack. That's it. So I've purchased the camera to put in, and I also went on Amazon for $13. I got these two USB clips. Now, as you can see, the clips have little connectors on them so that when I put a hole wherever I'm going to put them, I can just snap them into place and they'll stay there. So that'll give me 2 USB connections outside. That's not it, but it's this one over here. But it'll give me 2 USB hookups for outside for charging my phone or what have you. So definitely want to pick some of these up if you don't already have provisions for USB in your car. Because they're basically female, just like this one, and all you got to do is plug right into it, like so. Well, like so, and boom, you're good to go. So that's the only 2 things I suggest you buy if you don't already have them. And then once again, this one in the front face is also an external, so you can plug whatever into that too. I would say this one's probably good for, like, say if you got a big memory stick, this would be good for that. So with that, we're going to go ahead and head out to the car. I want to take a look and see where I'm going to mount these USBs, and also I want to prep the cables. The only other thing you're going to need, and this is just on my suggestion, you don't have to have it, is zip ties to make the wiring. That's because there's a lot of wiring with this, along with the car. So you want to get zip ties so that when you put everything in, it's clean and ready to go. So with that, let's head out to the car and let's get this thing wired up and ready to go. Okay, so we're back inside the truck. There's a few things that I've already done. This is the wiring harness for the old radio. You didn't see it, I didn't show it when I pulled it out. And your antenna from the car. I've already got in place. There's a hole down there, so basically what I did is I fed through the USB cables. I fed through the antenna for the Wi-Fi and the antenna for the backup camera. And then all your antennas are right there. And also, where's it hiding? The one for the GPS. Oh, nope, there it is. Or the one for the 4G. So what I found was a hole under the dash here that I can see from here. And all I did was just feed the wires up through that area, because that's where they need to come up, and grab them from the bottom and bring them all the way up, just like so. Now what I want to do here is a couple of things. These wires are all within a few inches of each other. These 2 are right next to each other, and then this group is right next to each other. So what I can do is zip tie these so they're all together. And I'll zip tie them a little bit farther back in this area here, and that way it's a nice clean installation for the radio. I can't find my good old black zip ties, so I'm just going to use this orange, and we'll zip tie these together. Oh, before we do that, one more thing. I'll zip tie these because this is a removable zip tie, by the way. Once I've got them all in place where I need them, then I'll put in permanent zip ties. But I want to get everything in place. Pull through these wires real quick. But I've got everything kind of laying down over here on the floor. So our main wiring harness, this is what's really neat about this kit, is you've got all these plugs, and they plug into the harness of your RAV4. This one I haven't quite figured out what it is, but I don't think there's a lot of these that we don't use, and there's some of them that we do. So there is another one, this particular harness here, that has the auxiliaries and the Wi-Fi or the 4G. If you don't want to put it in, you don't have to. This is if you want to add it later, maybe for something, I'm not going to run the 4G, so I don't care about that. So all this is just going to go to the side and be out of the way. It also cleans it up because I won't have all these wires in there that I don't need. So we'll set that up there for now. Now on these wiring harnesses, this is what's really cool about it, is they all, move everything around, kind of go right there. And it just depends on which Toyota you have, which ones you're using. If it's a newer one, it has, of course, more features. But what's neat is you just take it, and they say what they are, and you connect them right to the factory harness. There's one, that one says Toyota. And I'm thinking that's that one right there. Voila, so there's two of the Toyotas. Now I've only got one more here that I use. And that's this particular one, and that's going to be, this one here is an external antenna, I guess. It's probably for one of you guys' Toyota of one kind or another. So this one is the other one that goes right there. And that's it. Your wiring harness is in place. This uses this harness. So all this other stuff you don't need. This one's kind of weird. It seems to be going up to nowhere. So with these, again, we've got these hookups for auxiliary amps. This will support mirror cameras, left and right cameras, and the whole 9 yards. I think that's what these other two connectors are for, is that kind of stuff. But we're not using any of that, so we're just using this particular one. The rest of it is already hooked to the harness, so all of this can get put together. So with this, I'm gonna get my electrical tape and tape this all up. So I'll be right back. Let me grab a roll of electrical tape. As with any wiring job, you want a nice clean installation. That way it's ready to go. The only thing I'm going to leave out of the black tape are going to be, there's a few, the backup cameras. There's a few things that I'm going to have to leave out. But the rest of it I can secure to the loom, and that way it's out of the way. And if somebody, like if you trade your car in later for a more modern car and you have these accessories, you want them accessible. So in this particular case, we're just going to tape off everything but the brake and the backup. We're going to leave those two out. So again, we want to catch this wire. Pull this one down. Yeah, these are for backup cameras and all that kind of stuff that are already in place. So we just want to clean up this loom a little bit. Like I say, we want to tape off what we don't plan to use. So this can go that away. This can go that away. These three can stay together. Those are your amp outs. So this whole side of the loom is unneeded. So we're going to leave these two wires out. Again, not sure what they're for, but I'm wondering if they belong to the backup stuff. So this one, they probably tag in somehow, some way. We'll figure that out here in a little while. Right now, we just want to get this radio in place. So these two come over here, and these two come over here. And we could use a zip tie, but it's just cleaner if you use tape. Gets it out of the way. It's nice and covered up, and you don't have to mess with it. Because like I say, a lot of this we don't need. It's made for a whole series of years. The years that it's made for is in the description. So just look at the description and that'll tell you a little bit more about what this is. Okay, now that we've got that separated over there, we've got these two wires out. There, you and you. We're going to bring the whole thing over and tape it here. So it's all coming out of one spot. So we're coming around here. That's the main thing with your wiring, is to try to keep it clean. You know, if you don't, like a lot of this stuff, you may not need it. Cutting it off may not, is not a good option because you may use it later. Like this fits many years of RAV4, so if you buy a newer RAV4 all of a sudden, you got this whole harness to use. But this keeps it nice and clean and all in one place, so you don't have to mess with it. So you've got your main connectors here, your other connectors are here when they're needed. And with that, oops, what did I do? Oh, I put it on backwards. Oh, I can't believe that. All right, let's cut this loose. And it flipped on me. So we're going to go back across it again. Come up to here like we were before. And start winding it up and up. Just to keep it nice and clean and together. This just makes life easier for you later, or the next guy, I guess you'd say. Okay. That should be good enough. And voila. So this is our radio connector right here. The rest of this, we don't need. Then again, we're going to come over here to this side and release this zip tie. I don't remember how to do these. Use that. Just got to release the zip. Oh no, pushes. Yep, push and pull out. Okay, pull that zip tie off. Those zip ties are real nice if you just need something short term. Now we want to do the same thing with this wiring harness. The ones we want to leave out though are these wires. These are antennas, so we don't want to bury them inside our loom. We do want to back up a little bit because these three will go to one general area and these two go over to another. That's a little farther away from the radio, so we want to kind of space them out like that and catch it all about right here. So again, tape these up. Another reason you want to tape this is because you don't want this thing coming apart while you're yanking on it down there trying to get your wiring all squared away. So you definitely want to tape these off. And it also gives you, because all these go down and under the dash, it gives you a nice place to put everything. Make sure that you leave your 4G indicator out. This is your satellite, this is your 4G, so you don't want to cover that up. So go back a little bit before you grab a hold of these wires. Like I say, it's easy enough to, let's pull over this, go this one twice, just to be safe. Make sure you're, we go, how the heck did we get back upside down again? We must have caught ourselves. Yep, right there. So, back around again. Pull it tight, keep it all together. And then this loom's going to run down into the dashboard. So like your power wire and everything, you want it all down there. Okay, that should be good enough. That'll get it far enough down. Once you're down in the bottom of it, let's see, just fish that right on down there. And see, now you've got two nice wiring harnesses. This is all tucked down. These hook to your radio, so these are ready to go. You've got your panels over here. Now, one of the only other things we're going to have to do is put in those two USB ports. There's an area in here. You could put one right here and one right here. I would probably put them both over in this area. This probably pops off too, I would imagine, somehow, some way. Oh yeah, two screws, one there, and I'll bet you that comes off. So what we'll do next is we're going to have to locate where we want to put our USB cord. So let's get this all out of the way for now, and let's pull this apart and see if we can get our USBs here and here. Probably be a good thing. It'd be nice with them down here, but you got your stick shift in the way down here. So this is kind of your radio area. You could probably go right here in this area with one, but down here would be cleaner because they're going to be farther down on the dashboard. You can use the cup holders and all that kind of stuff to put them away. So give me a minute and let's go grab a Phillips screwdriver and see if we can't get that this panel off to see what this is like right in here. I don't feel anything in that area at all, so that's a good sign. We're going to leave our tape here with us, and let's go grab that. Clean up my area a little bit. Take my trim tools and put them away, and I'll be back in just a minute. A second for you, a few minutes for me. Okay, back on it again. We are going to end up running our camera back and hiding our antennas up in. Probably mount the antennas over here on the edge of the windshield on this side, bring it up through this area, but we're not going to really mess with that today. We're just going to get everything in place with the radio and our USB so that we're done in this particular area. We can always work on the other area later. We don't want to have to do it. You don't want to take too many things apart at the same time. But all our wires that we need to hook up to something are down there on the floor, so that makes it easy. Till this thing's never been off. But yeah, it looks like two Phillips screws are holding it together. Pretty much Phillips screws look like they hold this whole place together. And we do have one of our bolts did fall down, so we're going to have to find that too. So hopefully when we take this off, it'll be right there. But yeah, you don't want your USB cables running over here by the driver's side. You want to keep them over in the passenger side, make things safe. But I can tell you, like I said earlier, this is one of the easiest radios I've ever put in. It is plug and play and doesn't require any additional items. It's unfortunate that I bought all those additional items because does have those little clips like the radio had to push it back. Like I say, I don't see anything in this area. The dashboard does come down a little bit and catches the edge of this. So you can squish the dashboard up. Same with this side. And boom, it comes out. Now, you can't get it all the way out without unhooking everything. Let's take a look. See. There we go. That pulls that one out. Just remember which one goes on which side. So make sure you I'll fold this wire over so that it okay, that one's loose. Oh, now tighten it again. Gives you a little bit better view of everything. To plug in here, the big one plugs here. Everything's a different size, so you don't have to worry about getting mixed up. And then our USBs are going to go right here over on the side here because it's wide open and there's lots of room there. So they'll look like they actually came with it. And that's the look you're going for. There we go. And voila, we have our unit out. So let's take it in. We put an X on the side that we're going with. And scratch it all up so that we know this is the side we're doing the USB ports right there. And there's plenty of room here for it. Like I say, your wiring harness got lots of room. And all we have to do for those two USB ports is pull this wire back up. The USBs are down on that wire, and we just hook them right into the ports that are here. And then, of course, we're going to use our electrical tape, and we're going to clean up our wiring. So let's go put some USB ports in this, shall we? So I've got a file. You go back over there. Look at you. So I've got it laid down on a nice soft towel. We've got to measure out what size holes we have to put in that, and we're going to put them in like right here, one right next to the other. A little bit of distance between the two of them, but we've got plenty of room over here to put them in. We're going to put them in dead center on this panel. So what we're going to do is probably just drill a hole here, and then we'll use our file and our razor knife, and we'll cut a nice square hole out of it. And that should be good enough for us. So let me grab a drill, because we don't want to go too far. We've got to make it so that wide, so we don't want our step bit to go beyond this third mark. So 1, 2, 3. We'll check that. And 3 may be a little far, so we just want to go in 2, and then we'll use our file to do the rest. Yeah. This gives us a little bit more control. It's a lot thinner. But what we want to do is be careful not to exceed it's like the third spot. So we'll get some tape, and we'll put some tape on there so we know not to go past that third spot. Some little stickers right here. There's a different project, but these will work for what I need. I'll mark right there. I do not want it to go past that point. Now we want to flip this over, and we want a nice even spot for them. Again, we're going in this area here. So we want to mark the dead center of the area. Just a second to grab a measure. So this area here, we kind of want to be in the center of. So it's about 2 inches to the curve here. So we want to go 1 inch. And that'll be our center point. Tiny little mark because we don't want to go crazy. And then we're 2.5 inches across. So we want to be 1 1/4. So 1 and right on the money, by the way. And then they are going to be, there's 2 of them, and they're roughly They're roughly 3/4 of an inch. And we want a little bit of a space between them, so like 1/4 of an inch between them. So we want to add those two together. So we want to put them 1 inch apart. So we're going to go. It would be nice if they had a lock that slid over it and locked onto the plastic. That'd be the best way to do it. But they don't. So we kind of got to deal with what we got. Got it nicely spaced on there. One's a little crooked, but okay, let's get everything hooked back up again. So get all the dust off there. Our controls in first. Let's get this out of the way. Let's see, just like so. Okay, feels good. Other side. This one. And that one's good. Just turn the knob and it'll go to it. And we need a big plug right there. Our small plug goes up there. This one goes here. Let's see what else we got. This one. Let's get this harness out of the way too. Because we don't want to put that where we can't get the stuff. There it is. Come here, you. Let's get that out of the way so that when we push it back down there, we're okay. Let's see, where's this one? Over here. And the last one goes up there. Now, the only thing we want to do is we want to snatch the two USB cable lines that are down here. There's one. And here's number 2. Not everything but. There it is. And get everything else down. So these hook into your, this one and this one hook into these two USB cables. So again, just plug them in like so. Let's see, did I bring it through the right way? Yes, I did. Okay, making sure. Where'd the one go? Oh, here it is over here. I'm also going to tape these because I don't want them coming apart. It's the last thing you want. So we'll go ahead and tape them. Because you never know, if somebody pulls on a wire or something and all of a sudden, you know, it disconnects, you got to take apart the whole dashboard again to fix it, and you don't want that. So let's go ahead and tape them both together. That way we don't have to mess with it again. And like I say, everything else that's going to the back and all that kind of fun stuff, you don't need, that stuff doesn't need to be messed with at this point. This right down, bring this one over. And they give you a lot of extra wire here again, so you can bundle it up a little bit to clean it up some. That way you're not trying to fight a big bunch of wires hanging all over the place. Bundle what goes with what together, then you don't have to mess with it. And then always leave a little bit of slack because you may need to go back in and take stuff apart again. Not that there's any slack in these wires right now. But you got to remember this goes to right there. So all this extra wire is definitely going to be a problem. So best thing to do is bundle it up just like that. Run a couple on your tape around it, or zip tie it, however you want to do it. I like to use tape inside here because it's just cleaner. Okay, back the other direction. It just makes it nice, keeps it all in a nice bundle. Odds are, you know, when this truck is sold, this will be in it. So not like I'm going to take it out. It's a company truck paid for by the company along with the radio. So it's either that or take it to Toyota. Toyota wanted like $700 to put the radio that was in it back in it again. Not even an upgrade. So this is definitely the way to go. All right, so we got that all nice and neat. We have one more plug-in that's a little closer to here. So we want to get that in there. Make sure you hear it snap and it's not snapping. But yeah, make sure all your connections are tight and secure. This one doesn't want to click in, so let's get it up a little closer. There it goes. All right, now there's some wires that don't belong here in here. Let's get them out of the way. Get everything out of the way so we can get this up there where she belongs. Let's go back in. Voila. Clip, clip, clip. All right, now, last but not least, we can take this red wire. She needs to go down and out that bottom hole. So let's get this out of the way. So remember, the only thing we're going to hook up here are going to be just these two here. Keep those separate. So those are USBs. Your antennas all stay down like that. This one goes to your... Let me double check this one because it says back, but let's double check and make sure that if this is the one that goes to the backup camera, but the backup camera actually has a whole nother red cable over there, so my curiosity has me. Oh, you know what? That's the other backup camera. That's the one that's in the car. First things we close everything out, and let's shut off our radio, and let's go wrap this video up and get some tools put away, and I'll see you in just a minute. So that's the full installation of the RAV4. I have to admit, it is a really, really easy radio to work with because it's all plug and play. You can add additional things like amplifiers. It has hookups for a camera in the front, camera on both sides. It has hookups for monitors on the headrests for the video. So you've got a bunch of features on it that you can add later on if you want to. Completely up to you. I mean, there's, you know, for me, I just needed a radio that worked. I didn't have a radio at all. So that kind of, you know, definitely makes those trips down to St. George and up to Logan and all that a long time. 5 hours without a radio and just a headset, you know, just one speaker in one ear because you can't put it in both or you can't hear. So I was using my Bluetooth. And of course, it would get hot and it would be horrible to use. So, you know, having this radio will be really nice. Along with having the GPS, I've already used the heck out of it. I had put the new radio in, or I'm sorry, yeah, the new radio in for just a minute, just to see how well it worked and everything, try to familiarize myself with it. And the GPS worked really good, and it also worked good with the Android. It connected to it almost immediately. Put it in car mode so that you couldn't use the phone for anything weird. You had to manually, like if I was trying to scroll through to dial a phone number, it would automatically stop every like couple of seconds to make me look at the road, I guess, or something of that nature. There was one point where I was getting on an on-ramp, and the on-ramp speed was 60, and on the freeway speed was 70. So I was accelerating the freeway speed, and it told me I was speeding, so turn that feature off. But other than that, it was a really, really, probably one of the simplest installations I've ever done. And like I said earlier, I've done some very, very complex ones with amplifiers and all that kind of stuff where you had to basically cut into the wiring harness and make stuff work. This thing plugged right in like it belonged in it. So that was really nice to see. So yes, I recommend that radio. If they have one for your car in that brand, it's NVGOTEV. If they have one for your vehicle and you're looking for a radio, go with this one. As you saw, with me installing it, it was really, really simple. So with that, everybody have a great week, and I'll see you on the next one.